Welcome, everyone, to the Asian Voices radio podcast, where you'll find real Asian American conversations, including the topics you were too afraid to ask your Asian parents. I am Linda Schwartz, and I'll be your host for today's show. On today's show, we bring you another inspiring and success story of a Vietnamese American immigrant, a story of perseverance and persistence, also a beautiful story about courage, hope, and giving. Our guest joining us today is a philanthropist, CEO at Build a School Foundation, a frequent speaker on TED Talks, and he's also the VP of Technology at SAIC. It's my great pleasure to welcome Jimmy Tai. Jimmy, I can go into your background, but I'm sure our listeners would prefer to hear your incredible story directly from you. Take us back, man. Your story has been so inspiring. I have not been able to sleep just because I've been waiting for this interview. I want to hear it straight from you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much for your kind words. And hello to our listeners out there. Again, my name is Jimmy Tai, and as Linda mentioned, I'm a Vietnamese American. And how far do you want me to go back, Linda?
Take us straight to the beginning. I mean, what's interesting to me is that you were in prison after the Vietnam War. Can you start from
Yes.
there? Like
Sure.
that to me was just incredible.
Okay. All right. So certainly, I'm going to date it myself here, but right after the fall of Saigon in 1975, our family stuck and we stayed behind. We lived about a decade under the communist regimes. And life was hard. You're from Laos, so you probably can relate it to some of the experiences that we survived a war-torn country. Is going through the rebuild, and people from the north, the south, all the hatred, all the revenge, all these economic and political struggles. But at the end of the day, what really motivate me to leave Vietnam is really I see no hope, I see no opportunity, I see no future. I remember vividly when I was in high school, a friend of us, a classmate to be exact, he from the north, so they are considered the children of the victors, and we from the south, so we are, the children of the betrayer or the losers. And he made a comments that I can never forget even until today. You will never got a chance to go to university because all the sins and all the guilt that your parents did to our revolution.
Mm.
And I was only 15 at that time. So I didn't really understand why going to college have all of these things. I just want to go learn. I just want to learn and be educated. But later on, we learned that, hey, the society is pretty complicated, and we cannot have the opportunity to do so. So that's why at 15, I went home, told my parents, and they say, "Hey, you know what? The only way we can get you educated is try to escape the country, go to a different country, and try to see if you can learn and be somebody." And for the next 2 years after that, I spent 15 times down to the Mekong Delta, up to the middle jungle, try to land crossover to Cambodia. So hopefully we can make to Thailand, or use the Gulf of Thailand to try to escape by rickety boats, and did that 15 times. And during those attempts, I was captured and sent to prison twice. And twice I escaped from prison. So you can say I'm a really, really bad boy when I was young.
That's just incredible to me. And can you tell us about the time when, like, how did you end up in the States? And how was it was there a final escape?
Yes. So during my 15th attempt, I finally make it out. We make it to Thailand, right? So we crossed the Gulf of Thailand. We arrived in Thailand. I was in refugee camp for about 6 months, and after we go through all the screenings and acceptance and stuff like that, we got sponsorship to to come to America. So I really consider myself winning the lottery of citizenship. I never forget that. When I get here, I'm almost 20. I'm just a week or two shy away from my 20th birthday. But I really believe this country gave me a second chance. And uh, in my mind, we just pretty much reborn. I got the opportunity to live our lives again. And I use that a second chance. And that experience never and I never forget those experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, my parents are from Laos, and they escaped um, in the middle of the night to Thailand through the Mekong River as well,
Right.
and ended up at a refugee camp with my three
Hmm.
brothers. And my family got sponsored
Right.
and came to Savannah, Georgia, and
Oh.
then I was born here. So
Oh, okay.
I really didn't get a chance to hear my mom's story until just a few years ago. But I'm curious to know, how were the prisoners treated in Vietnam? How were they treating you when you were after being captured?
I think we have to put things in context, right? Because if we compare it to prison, let's say in America, and prisoners that in Vietnam right after the war times, and captured just because you try to escape the country instead of you are a criminal or do something bad. It's a little bit different. I did not really know anything better at that time, so I did not really have a reference point. But I say by and large, they just want to capture uh, us, the escape people. That's how they label us, the escape people, or the traitors, right? They call it traitors. And one time I got interrogated, so I got beat up. Mainly, they just want to find out about who organized all of these things, who's are the leaders, and those are the people that go after. I'm
Mm,
15, 16 at that time, so I figure in their opinion, I'm still just kind of like a passengers on this journey. They
mhm.
really want to go find out. They really want to hunt down who's the organizer, who own the ships and who on the boats. Right? It's not ship, it's a boat because it's like 30 feet. You have over 100 people on the rickety boat with 30 feet long. So
Mm,
they really want to go after it. And one time they interrogate me pretty badly. I got beat up, but to be honest with you, I did not know any better, and I just look at around. Everybody went through that, so that's why a lot of time when I share some of these stories nowadays, when I have the opportunity to share, a lot of our American listeners seem to be appalled and they are horrified by this. But in my opinion, when I look around, you mentioned about story of your parents, and my wife's parents went through the same. A lot of our Vietnamese refugees people went through the same. So that's
yeah,
why,
yeah.
to me, it's like, okay, it's no big deal. Turn it up, man.
Yeah, I I totally get that. It's like it was just the thing that had to be done back then. There was no other choice. If you wanted
Right,
to be free or have a life, you had to escape. Now, when you escaped the first time and you got caught
right,
and then you had to be put back in prison,
right.
how did you even come to terms about escaping for a second time?
Uh, when I get caught a second time, they send me to the same prisons, and this is just, I'm talking about maybe like 6 months apart, so not like years that nobody remember who I
Mhm.
were. So everybody still remember I'm the guy that escaped the first time. So first of all, they beat the crap out of me, and then they told me, "Hey, how did I do that?" So they can prevent people doing this for the future. And then they told me, how did I do that? I told them everything. I remember that they chained me for about a month, and after that, they sent people out to do labor in the field and things like that, right? So they allow me to go out in the field working for during the daytime, before they put everybody back in the uh, they don't call prison, they call re-education camp, before they put you back in the camp at nighttime. And one time, on the second time, I was out for about a week, and already in my mind I planned the escape already. And because to me, hey, I stuck here, I have no future. I figure unless I try to get on the boat and go somewhere, this is no, no, not what I want. So I'm really determined. Even at 16, I'm really determined. This is I'm going to do. And I witnessed all the horrible things that no teenager should have seen when you're at that age. Robbery, rape, and
Mm.
all of these things. And it can be a long show to talk about this. But anyway, my mind is so made up. And when I escaped the second time, I just said like, you know what, I will do whatever it takes. And I already accept the fact that a lot of people never make it to the third country. And my mind is made up. I'm pretty determined to do this no matter at what cost.
And what kept you going?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very deep question. And sometimes when you say that, how can some kid at 16 have this determination? But to me, a lot of us, right, when you go home and ask your parents, we never consider ourselves at a I mean, economical asylums. We really consider ourselves as political, asylums, because what I desire and what I long for is the opportunities to be free, right? Free to learn, free to earn, free to speak, free to go about. Because when you live in the communist societies, you can't even travel without a permission from your local, local police leaders or whatever, right? So everybody watching everybody, and everybody kind of like snitch on each other, and I don't see that the way to live. So when I make up my mind that whatever it takes, I want to be free, I want to learn, and I want to have the opportunity to educate the people when I'm free. So that's really what motivate me to risk my life for this. And I already make up my mind that whatever it costs, I will try to be a free man, and I'm going to educate myself. And one day, if I'm lucky enough to do this thing, I will find a way to come back and help others.
That's amazing. And so take us now to when you arrived to the States. Like, I'm so glad that you and your family were able to make it here. Tell us about your life when you guys arrived. What was that like?
This in the mid 80s. So that's we not a lot of Vietnamese people escaped right at the fall of Saigon in the 75, and they arrived here first. So we came much later by boat, and usually they call us FOB, right? FOB, fresh off the boat. I know it's a name of the comedy, but every time I heard that fresh off the boat, that's usually the slang that even the older Vietnamese arrives here. I mean, like we call the first wave Vietnamese immigrants that get here usually tease our, boat people Vietnamese, and they call us fob. But it was tough because I have no education, I have no money, and I have no ability to communicate. And it was really challenging at first. But again, to me, all of these are just obstacles, right? It's not really hardship anymore, because when you spend 2 years of your life and risking your life to escape, then all of these to me is just obstacle. It's just road, just the bumps on the road that I can easily overcome. And rightly so. Right after I came here, just a week later, I already tried to sign up to go to ESL classes. That even though I have a dictionary in my hand, so I can look it up. There's no Google Translate back then, so I just use the dictionary and look up everything, right? And 2 months after that, I already signed up to go to college at nighttime, and I'm already working at that time as a nighttime janitor at Miramar College. And actually,
Mm.
that's the opportunity for me to to see other people attending colleges, and that's really reaffirmed my desire to attend college. And it's such a wonderful thing, because you don't have to go to 4 year university. You can start out at community college and work your way up, and that's exactly what I did.
That's pretty incredible. Um, so, now bring us to where we are now. Like, you are an accomplished speaker. You've you started some foundations and organizations that are really truly having an impact. Um, share with us a little bit about how that journey came to fruition.
So after I spent 2 years at Miramar and Mesa Community College, and believe me, I always have a Vietnamese English and English Vietnamese dictionaries on my, on my hand, because everything to me is like, hey, what does this mean? What does this mean? I get by the first 2 years with ESL, and then with dictionary. I got into UCSD. I got accepted to UCSD as a transfer student, and I did my last 2 years there, and I graduated with a bachelor degree in electrical engineering. It wasn't easy, but again, find a way to get it done. Push myself through college, wash car, clean toilet, uh, cook at Jack in the Box, whatever I have to do. I just push myself through. And after I got my bachelor degree, I joined the civilian workforce for the Navy, because I was saved by the Navy ship, so I just always have the desire to write the ship, and hopefully that one day I can help the ship spot out refugee at sea or something like that. That's not always in my mind. By the time I graduated and worked for the Navy, the refugee things from Vietnam was pretty much over. But then I worked pretty hard, right? In my mind, I always say, hey, how can I be ahead of my peer, ahead of the game? And if I work in the community or in the office, everybody had bachelor degree. My thought process is that I need to go get my master to be ahead, and that's exactly what I did. So I went to evening master program, and I got my master in electrical engineering, got promoted, and become a team leader. And even at that time, all of my peers have master degrees, and I say, hey, how can I be ahead of the game? So I'm at the crossroads at that time. I would say, hey, should I go for my PhD in electrical engineering, or should I go for my MBA so I can go into executive management? And after talking to a couple folks, I know my personality and I know what I'm capable of, and I went for MBA. So after I got my MBA, and all of these while I'm working full time and have children and raise my family, I got promoted, and I was a program manager for a major program with the Navy that that's run billion of dollars. And right after that, I start get a lot of inquiries from private industry that seeks my services. And after almost 15 years with the civil servant in the Navy, I resigned, and I left behind all the safety nets, and I took a chance with the private sector. I went out, enjoy a Fortune 500 company, and worked my way up to become a vice president. So to me, all of those are very natural course of progression. You just have a desire to work, to contribute, and become an expert in your field, and then you get there.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations, and I just am so filled with pride and joy for you. Like, I don't want to cry, but because I'm on the verge of tears just listening to how determined you were. And so when my brothers came to the States, my eldest brother was, I believe, he was 79. He was about 7 years old.
Mm.
So, he had a very, I believe he had a very vivid memory of those times in the refugee camp. My family spent 3 years in the refugee camp before they were sponsored to come here. And
Mhm.
while you were sharing your story, I just had this flash of just my brother
Mhm.
doing all these things, going to school, pushing himself, joining the military, and now he's a high ranking officer in the Marine
Right.
Corps. And 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 it just so resonated with me how that determination from knowing your past and knowing where you came from
Right.
might have been that deep driving force for you to
Yeah.
just go after all the things that you wanted for yourself. So I
Yeah.
just want to say
Precisely.
congratulations and commend you for being so determined to make your life worthy of.
Yeah.
of
And
all the
and what
things.
what I really want to add to that is I really want to congratulate your brother to serve, and of course, first of all, thank for his service. And I think I'm not surprised why so many refugees are so successful,
Yeah,
or refugee immigrants successful, because we all have that determination, and we have that drives, and that's why when I watch something like the Afghanistan that going on right now, I really feel for these folks, because that's exactly what your parents, or what exactly my family went through
yeah,
after the fall of Saigon. But one thing that I really want to mention, when other, I coaching the other young Asian American professional, because I was serving the board director for the NAPS program, that's the National Asian American Professional, for a while. And the questions always come to me is like, hey, how can you break that bamboo ceiling, right? We don't call that a glass ceiling, we call bamboo ceiling. How do we crack that bamboo ceiling and become a vice president? And I tell them, all you need to do is that fusion, that that by culture in you, and make turn that into your strength, right? So we are blessed with all the historical and all this culture, all this background that we brought with us from Southeast Asia, and then we have the blessing of second chance to learn all the technology, all these innovations from the most modern country in the world. So when you fuse those two resources together, you become a very powerful individuals. And
yeah.
for me, one of the things that I never forget, because during one of these 15 escape attempts, my my brother, he's only 2 years older than me. He was shot and killed. So he never got the opportunity to live whatever the life that I live. So that's why when I tell people, don't ever forget where you came from, and
Mhm.
don't ever take all the privilege that you have for granted. Because a lot of us, when we say people willing to die for, I really meant it, because my
Mhm.
brother never got the opportunity to live any of these thing that I enjoy. So to me, I don't have the luxury of not of quitting, right, or giving up. A lot of time people say, "Hey, aren't you tired? Keep trying. Have you ever considered quitting?" I say that's not even an option in my vocabulary. In my
Mhm.
lexicon, there's no quitting, because how can I face my brothers if I quit, right? So I
Yeah.
don't have that luxury.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's like it's almost as if, now it becomes our responsibility, our duty as, for me, I was born here. I was born in 1982. So I really in the beginning of my life, I felt so out of place and
Right,
out of it was like fish out of water. But as I got older and I learned my parents' story, it was like it I would be remiss if I did not take every opportunity or take advantage of all of the opportunities that I have here. Because,
right.
my father passed away, unfortunately, in 1998 when he was only 42 years old. So, it's almost as if it's my duty and my responsibility to do all that I can with the life that I have here.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'm just so deeply connected to your story. So, obviously you escaped from Vietnam under the worst circumstances, and I
Right.
can imagine it wasn't easy for you to go back. But, obviously considering what happened, and then you established your nonprofit foundation with your wife Lily, and you went back to Vietnam in 2015. And
Mhm.
what was that like for you? And what was the inspiration behind your foundation, building a school foundation?
Yeah, that thank you for asking that question, because I just want to share why when we formed the leadership, academy, we really emphasize on passion meets compassion, right? Because the passion is all the things that I share with you and our audience in the last, 20 minutes or so. The passion, the desire to learn and to teach and to do this. But at the end of the day, the compassion is something that glue us together, because you can do all your passion, you can do all desire, but there can be more the individual, challenges that you want to accomplish. But when you feel that with the compassion, what do you meant to do for others? And this is something that I want to give a lot of credit to my mom, my late mom, because just like your father passed away, my mom passed away, 13 years ago. And when I got the invitation from Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology, invited me back to give a talk on tsunami warning, because I'm considered a tsunami warning expert and help them with build the tsunami warning system and the earthquake forecast center in Vietnam. I was really torn to get that invitation. So I went home. I told my mom. I say, Mom, these are the same people that pretty much ruin our family, and these are the same people that pretty much, you know, uh, destroy our family. And now they want me to come back and help them. What do you think? Because in my mind, it's no way that I want to do that. And my mom told me something that I never forget, and it really changed my philosophy in life forever. She said that the people that hurt our family is not the same people that your ability, your knowledge can save them from. Right? Where is your compassion?
Wow.
Yeah, and it took me a while, and then I came to terms with that. So I said I will be glad to be back, and that's the thing that I want to share with folk. It doesn't matter what in the past, but if you really want to make a difference in lives of others, you got to think compassionately, and you got to put the past behind.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that I listened to my mom and hop on that plane. I move forward, and that's why I think to help those folk, I just want to help the kids that in me that didn't have a chance to learn, and that's why when I say what can I do when I return to Vietnam, I set out. I say, you know what, education and children, those are the people that I want to help, and that's why we founded the Build School Foundation, and for the last 6 years, that all our spare times that we devoted to.
That's pretty amazing. And you and your wife Lily helped build over 80 schools and bridges in Vietnam and the Philippines and Cambodia in the last 6 years. That's a huge accomplishment.
Right?
And can you, I don't recall hearing the mission of Build a School Foundation. Can you share the mission of your foundation for us, please?
Yes, our vision is very, very simple. We want to build 100 schools globally, right? So not only Vietnam, and we accomplished that in the last 6 years. We built up today it's 82 schools and bridges in Vietnam, in the Philippines, in Cambodia, and in Kenya. This year we can Kenya, and now I know you have tied to Laos, and I'm really excited because after this, hopefully we can connect, and hopefully we can do something similar in Laos.
That's amazing. That I would love that. I know that, there are other foundations, that are also building schools, in Laos as well, and maybe
Right,
there's a get some synergy there, and I can help you make some connections. Um, so what's next? What's on
right.
the horizon for you?
I think a lot of people have been asking me this question, and I asked myself when I reached to 50s or so, I figured out, hey, now the goal to 100 is no problem. And I would not be surprised with our 5K walk that we plan to do on September 26th here at the Hilltop Park in San Diego. We certainly can raise 50,000 and build, the rest of the 18 school bridges that we try to do. But when we done with this, my wife literally told me that, hey, you need to stop. You need to spend time with me. so that's something that she put a mandate on me, but knowing me that probably not going to happen. But I think one of the things that I really want to tackle. And to be honest with you, Linda, I've been travel the country enough to speak and to teach, and I saw the homeless issue is something that really, really challenging. So I probably thinking about how to build a homeless shelter. I'm going to start out with San Diego and see I can scale up, and I see how I can help the homeless community to regain their dignity and value and become a valuable contributors to our society. That
That's
personally would be my next challenge.
that is incredible. And my husband and I talk a lot about that, and he's been wanting to, that's been in his heart as well. So I'd love to connect with you with that and support you in that mission. And we're at the top of our time together. So can you share a little bit about the 5K walk that's coming up in September, where, when, time, and then also where we can learn more about you?
Yes. I'm so excited to share with you. So, everybody, all the listeners, if you listen to our mission, you touched by our stories, and you want to help, mark your calendar, save your day, September 26th at 8 a.m., Hilltop Community Park, 9711 Oviedo Way. Or you can go to our website, buildaschoolfoundation.org. Again, buildaschoolfoundation.org. You will have all the information on our website. Come out, bring your family, come bring your boyfriend, girlfriend, dog, cat, whatever. We see a family event and walk. We have mass, we have snack, we have entertainment, we have music, we have a conical hat, the traditional conical hat that we try to sort out. And in the past, we have about two to three to 400 people come and join us. So this would be something that you don't want to miss.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I want to thank our guest today, Jimmy Tai, for joining us. And to learn more about Jimmy and his work, please visit his website at jimmythai.com. That's JIMMYTHAI.com. And be sure to subscribe to Asian Voices Radio, as well as follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please join us next week for another exciting and thought-provoking Asian Voices radio show. I am your host, Linda Schwartz. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Bye now.